What's up, everyone? Christian Duke from StrengthAddicts.com, RxMuscle.com, and the brand new RX Muscle subforum, Iron Duke, and RadioCulturismo.com. So let's talk about this Boston Loyd. What's the guy's name? From the 90s. The little guy from Australia. Oh my god, what's his name? No, I'm just kidding. Of course, Lee Priest. I mean, he's not that much of a has-been, right? So, basically, I wrote this article because I, like so many other people, was seeing this video that Lee Priest put up about Boston Loyd. And I was like, oh my god, wow, like Lee Priest is still around. I didn't know because I haven't seen him on a magazine cover in ages, or I haven't seen him at a competition or anything like that. You know, and that's kind of like what I do. You know, I cover, you know, current day athletes. And so I saw him, and then I started looking at some of his other videos. You know, very like low budget type productions. He's got a videographer there that actually sounds a lot like the guy that does the work for Jason Genova in Boca Raton or whatever. Just not a really like articulate type of dude, just someone that sort of feeds the guy questions and, you know, laughs or whatever, just jokes, and just you know, like a stooge basically, but a very skilled stooge because, you know, he can hold the camera straight and the lighting's good and all that. So basically, I started watching these weird videos where Lee's, like, in one video says, you know, I'm so virile or whatever that I went to my doctor and he said I don't need HRT, I don't need the fake stuff because I have all this natural testosterone. I'm like, okay, bro, you're like 43. I mean, if that's the case, good for you, but did you really have to say this out loud? Did somebody really ask you about HRT? The point is, I don't know. The point is that I took a little bit of offense at these videos that he was making about Boston Loyd. He said at one point that Boston should put a revolver to his head, that he should put air in his veins, that he looked like a drag queen, and all these things. And that, of course, was a video where there was a disclaimer that he was heavily medicated. But then there was other two videos where he wasn't heavily medicated and he was still talking a lot of shit. So I called Dave Palumbo up. I said, hey, Dave, I want to write this article. What do you think? Yada, yada. I was at Starbucks, and I got a decaf pour-over, 90 minutes, bam. I had the article, sent it to Dave, we tweaked it a little bit, and it went up. And now the article's gotten, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of views. No, I know it's got thousands of views, but I was going to say hundreds or thousands of comments. It's huge on Facebook and on the boards and all this and that. And people are mad at me because I'm calling Lee Priest a has-been. His wife is posting my pictures. She posted pictures of my beautiful girlfriend, and I think she's trying to like shake me down by saying, well, you know, we know who you are, yada, yada, yada. And people know who I am. People have known who I've been for like the last probably like closer to 10 years. So the reality of it is that, look, I'm writing an article about someone that is big in the industry, respected around the world, makes a lot of money, has inspired a lot of people, and I'm also writing an article about Lee Priest. So the thing is, I'm talking about a guy like Boston Loyd that's actually doing stuff in this world, actually bringing new fans to bodybuilding. He's built an amazing physique. He won the Contra Costa. I mean, the Contra Costa, yes, is a regional show. The Contra Costa has more depth in their competition than that NABA Pro Universe that Lee Priest won, or that competition at the PDI where he was competing against literally NPC guys. I mean, in all honesty, Lee Priest, everybody keeps saying all he did in the 90s, you know what I mean? The 90s this, the 90s that, you know what I mean? But it's just like those 80s bands. You know, it's like, I love the 80s bands, you know what I mean? Like Dokken and Rat and all that. But Dokken and Rat aren't selling arenas these days, nor were they in the 90s or the 2000s. You know, the reality of it is they were great when they were great. And Lee Priest was great in the 90s, you know what I mean? And he had some good wins there in the early 2000s. But now we're in 2015, you know what I mean? And it's just, come on, you know? And so I think that he is a little bitter in his old age. You know, he's only 6 years and change away from the big 5-0. And here's, you know, Boston Loyd with a beautiful fiance, a beautiful house, nice cars, drawing huge lines at these expos. You know, people want to put him on magazines. And, you know, it's just to the point where I think he's just bitter. You know, I mean, he just had surgery, which again is a sign of old age. You know, his body's probably falling apart, or you know, possibly parts of his body are failing on him. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I mean, he trained hardcore, and he had an amazing physique. And for a little guy as he is, height-wise, I mean, he was able to do a lot. He was a giant killer, you know, like a Danny Padilla. That's a huge compliment, by the way. If I didn't like Lee Priest, I would not compare him to Danny Padilla. So the reality of it is that, you know, people are saying, well, if you love Lee Priest so much, how could you say that the only things left for him were gay for pay, cam work, or what else did I say? Or selling worn gym clothes. Nasser, who I had a huge amount of respect for, who I did a beautiful tribute for him, who I talked to on occasion via email, who Dorian Yates even said that could have beaten him at that 97 Olympia. Nasser was an Arnold Classic champion, an Olympia runner-up, and he had a wide assortment of worn gym clothes, worn boots, and such that he wore, and he was selling them. And I would imagine, honestly, that some of the people that are attacking me, like that Cameron guy or that Ron M guy, you know, people like that are just so hardcore loyal, or like the guy that's at the RX Muscle forums, you know, blasting Lee Priest shows, even though Lee Priest doesn't actually pay money at RX Muscle for advertising. And I don't know that, you know, the moderators there don't do anything anyways. But the thing is, I don't know, you know, those people are just so fanatical about their devotion to Lee Priest that they might, you know, if Lee Priest sold, you know, some old sneakers, you know, they might buy those sneakers and sniff them. I don't know. But the reality is that I'm saying is that Lee Priest isn't going to be covering any magazines lately. I mean, I haven't seen him on the cover of anything except for maybe Muscle Mag like 10 years ago. No, not 10 years ago, 8 years ago. He's not going to be guest posing at any IFBB sanctioned events because he has a lifetime ban from the IFBB. What contest promoter in good standing would ever jeopardize his sanction to have Lee Priest guest pose? None. The last few shows that he's done, the last 3 shows that he's done over the last 10 years, one was the NABA Pro Universe. NABA is the organization that gave Mark Lobliner a pro card. And then the PDI, he was competing against really only 2 people that had any talent, Andreas Frey and, to a slightly larger extent, Sami El-Haddad. Besides those 2 guys, there was nobody there that was in any way, shape, or form going to compete with Lee Priest. So, I mean, what are we celebrating here? We're celebrating what he did in the 90s and early 2000s in the IFBB. We're celebrating his performance in 2 rinky-dink shows with Wayne DeMilia, who everybody that I know in bodybuilding describes as a piece of garbage. And then we're celebrating a NABA Pro Universe from an organization that gave Mark Lobliner a pro card. So again, I mean, I'm just saying, I got nothing against Mark Lobliner, but I mean, at the IFBB, Lee would be competing against Phil Heath and Kai Green. Mark Lobliner ain't no Phil Heath or Kai Green. You know what I'm saying? You dig what I'm dropping? That's all I'm saying. It's no Mark Lobliner hate. I'm just saying, you know, the IFBB has a slightly higher, you know, criteria for being a pro than, say, NABA. So I'm just being honest. You know, I'm celebrating, you know, an awesome bodybuilder that's doing a lot of great things, that is promoting the sport and bringing new fans and breathing some light into the sport. And yes, I'm also talking about Lee Priest. But the reality of it is you can't fault me for taking Boston's side, because Lee Priest made 3 videos that were just nasty about Boston before Boston ever replied. So again, I have to be honest. And for his wife to post photos of my girlfriend or photos from my personal Facebook pictures, you know, it's just low class. I mean, her husband is in the public eye. Lee Priest is a well-known bodybuilder, or at least he used to be, and he still is somewhat. You know, and the fact that I'm writing an article about him and a major star like Boston Loyd, you know, it's just an article. So it doesn't mean that you should go and get pictures of people that I know, of loved ones, and post them up there, because I'm not posting photos up of you. You see what I'm saying? I may argue with you. I'm not posting pictures of you or your family or your parents or anything like that, because that's just low class. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I understand, look, I understand that your history is kind of against you in a way, because I understand that Australia is where the British sent all the criminals, but that was a long time ago, and I would imagine that most of you folks, I mean, I have a lot of friends in Perth. I mean, personally, for me, Perth is really what Australia is all about. And when I go to Australia, I'm going to go to Perth, because the thing is, in Perth, the people that I talk to, even with this whole saga with Lee Priest, they're telling me that Lee Priest is a joke. You know what I mean? And I can even publish the emails if I get their permission. People don't like their emails published, but you know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. But basically, you know, it's like Lee Priest is like the Sydney of Australia, and I'm the Perth of Australia. Lee Priest is the Fosters of Australia, and I'm the Victoria Bitter of Australia. Basically, I say the truth. I speak the truth. And my truth tastes a lot better than his truth. But the point is that, I guess what I'm trying to say in the end is that don't fault me for being a kick-ass journalist, you know? Don't sweat me for being such a prolific writer. I'm saying don't sweat Boston, because Boston is what Lee is not. Popular, rich, lucky with the ladies, followed by all the top guys. I mean, Boston Loyd right now is an icon for the sport of bodybuilding. He's revolutionizing everything. Ron Harris, I don't know why you can't just admit that the kid is actually doing positive things. Once you take a fucking pro-hormone or a steroid, you give up all right to judge on what one takes is too much or one takes is too little. Now, I don't think Ron Harris takes anabolic steroids personally. He's got a great physique, and I believe that that physique is based on, I don't know if he's taking GAP products. He might be. I don't know. I've heard that Nitroflex stuff. Whoa. I mean, that's how big Rami got his size, you know? So it's possible that Ron has gotten some of that Nitroflex in there, some of that creatine monohydrate. I've heard rumors that he might be taking that whey protein isolate. I don't know. But those are all natural supplements. And hey, if Big Rami could get that big off of an amino acid drink, then I'm sure that Ron is 100% natty. But if Ron were not natty, and even if he took one pro-hormone or one steroid, he doesn't then have a leg to stand on to call out Boston Loyd for whatever Boston Loyd takes. Furthermore, I would like to speak about another great journalist, and I would like to close with a quote from that great journalist. Actually, I won't close because I'm Hispanic. I'm going to continue talking. But I would like to include the great quote from Greg Valentino. And he said in a movie, and I won't say the movie because I don't want to pay them a royalty or a credit or whatever. But he said in that movie that steroids, quote, steroids, I like when Dave Palumbo says, quote, so I'm going to say, quote, steroids are as American as apple pie, end quote. And so I think that Greg's statement is right on topic. Like, he hit the nail on the head. Steroids are in every sport. So let's lay off of Boston, you know, because at least Boston's telling the truth. And, you know, I think so many people are just so fascinated with his life. And again, the only reason that we're talking about Lee Priest right now is because of Boston Loyd. You know, look, I'm a classy guy. You know what I mean? I'm a classy guy, and I like Lee Priest, and he did a lot of good stuff. You know, Lee Priest also has a personality which is a lot like Aaron Singerman. Totally like Aaron, you know? And the reason I bring that up, you know, why am I talking about Aaron Singerman? Well, Lee Priest, I have a little bit of history with him, and I wasn't going to do this because I actually made a video before. This was like 45 minutes long, and I canned it. But you know what? I'm going to go 15 minutes, and that's it. I got some history with Lee Priest. I used to post on the VPX boards, and Lee Priest and I used to talk quite often. And at the time, I was still friends with Aaron Singerman, and it got to the point where Lee Priest basically said, you're either friends with him or you're friends with us. I mean, that's basically what it was. And I said, well, I'm going to be friends with both of them, you know, both you and Aaron. And then Lee just went ballistic and started cursing me out on the forums, calling me a sellout, a cocksucker, this and that. That was like 4 years ago. And yeah, down the road, Aaron Singerman fucked me over, and Lee Priest was right. But he wasn't right to say that I had to pick between him and Aaron. That's just juvenile. Aaron Singerman, way down the road, the reason that Aaron Singerman fucked me over is because at the time I was still very close with John Romano and still doing a lot of things with John, using John's opinions for a lot of my opinion pieces, including him in my polled articles that I do a lot of. And Aaron Singerman, I got the emails from Aaron basically saying that I got to pull away from Romano, that if I'm going to work with Romano, that I can't talk to him, and yada, yada, yada. And as a result, Aaron Singerman was much like Lee Priest saying that I had to pick between him and John Romano, much like Lee Priest said I had to pick between him and Aaron Singerman. Therefore, Aaron Singerman and Lee Priest are basically, you know, feathers of the same flock. As they say, feathers of the same flock, or feathers of the same feather flock together. Excuse me. I'm Hispanic. I know 2 languages, so, you know, you got to give me a break. The bottom line, though, is that, you know, Lee Priest is just, he's basically a bully. And for his wife to get on there and call me a bully or Boston Loyd a bully when Lee Priest struck first blood against Boston Loyd, said that Boston Loyd should shoot air into his veins, said that Boston Loyd should put a revolver to his head, and posted a naked photo of Boston Loyd on Facebook. For Lee Priest's wife, Jade, to say that I'm a bully or Boston Loyd's a bully, no. Your husband's a bully. He's also a has-been, and he's also washed up. I'm sorry. It is what it is. We all get old. In 6 years and change, he's going to be 50. And I hope that when he's 50, he's not, you know, attacking people that are half his age. But you know, again, we are talking about Lee Priest, and so anything is possible. All I know is that Boston Loyd has a bright future, and Lee Priest is dragging around a lifetime suspension to the IFB.